Coming up tonight, doctors meet with the Prime Minister a day after leaving their posts. Meanwhile, some businesses say the pressure is mounting, and the blind man talks about the challenges he faces.
Our news is brought to you by Alive.
Welcome to Our News, and thanks for joining us. I'm Jared Higgs. Topping news tonight: tensions between health officials and doctors at Princess Margaret Hospital's Accident and Emergency Department have simmered after union leaders met at the office of the Prime Minister this morning. The meeting has prompted doctors to return to work a day after they left their posts at PMH. Jasmine Brown was at OPM as they exited the meeting and has this report.
Those union leaders spoke to our news team moments after they exited the meeting, where they said they laid all their issues on the table with the Prime Minister and Minister of Health.
So what came out of this meeting is we need to have a greater level of communication, and he has offered himself and made himself available so that we can meet regularly to ensure that he is aware of exactly what's going on and the concerns that we're having.
President of the Bahamas Doctors Union, Dr. Melisande Bassett, confirmed A&E doctors are back to work after that meeting at the office of the Prime Minister on Wednesday. In addition to Minister of Health Renward Wells and Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis, the 90-minute meeting was also attended by executives of the Public Hospitals Authority and Ministry of Health. While those health officials did not speak to our news team, leaders of the Bahamas Doctors Union and Consultant Physician Staff Association did.
The situation in A&E was unfortunate, but certainly everyone has to understand the plight of a nurse, a doctor, a worker when they're exposed to a potential risk and they have to go home to their family. That's a basic human need that we need to ensure that they are safe and they feel safe.
President of the CPSA, Dr. Sabrikay Pinder-Butler, said the meeting was productive, adding it is vital that the lines of communication have opened.
We thought that the meeting that we had today was a productive one. We were able to discuss our concerns with all the relevant stakeholders.
The meeting came a day after accident and emergency doctors, nurses, and staff removed themselves from work as the unions sounded the alarm over what they described as a critical lack of adequate safety protocols to prevent themselves and patients from being exposed to COVID-19. They also called the situation at the facility dire and alleged there is no space left to isolate suspected COVID-19 cases. Both Dr. Pinder-Butler and Dr. Bassett say the most important thing coming out of Wednesday's talk is that meetings will happen more regularly. Reporting for Our News, I'm Jasmine Brown.
The Ministry of Health confirming today that there are 36 new cases of COVID-19. This brings the total number of confirmed cases to 751. Of those 36 new cases, 30 are in New Providence and 6 are in Grand Bahama. Now in New Providence, there are 342 confirmed cases of COVID-19. In Grand Bahama, there are 336. There are 32 in Bimini, 10 in Moores Island, 9 confirmed cases in Great Guanakee, 9 confirmed cases in the Berry Islands, 6 confirmed cases in Cat Key, 3 confirmed cases in Cat Island, 3 confirmed cases in Exuma, and 1 confirmed case in Abaco. Well, as many businesses shut down for 2 weeks amid the national lockdown, some employees and the self-employed are questioning how they will get by. Berthany McDermott reports.
Uncertainty mounting in many homes as the country begins a 2-week lockdown. In the Camp Road area, we met Paul, who washes cars for a living. Unable to carry out his trade for at least 2 weeks and without no savings, he's wondering how he will buy food and pay his bills.
I feel bad because I can't pay my bills. I'm hungry, can't get none to eat. The Prime Minister locked the country down, so what can I do?
Without an income, Paul fears his landlord will evict him, adding he has nowhere to turn for help.
I can't get help from no one. Ain't no one helping you in this last half, and everybody looking for money. And everybody need money, because you ain't gonna stay in no one house for free. For 2 weeks, no rent paying. How he supposed to eat?
Another resident, David Spence, was employed at the Malaya Nassau Beach before the pandemic struck. Since losing his job, he has been helping out at his family bar, which is now closed during the national lockdown. During this time, Spence said he and a few other men in the community are trying to find ways to keep themselves busy.
You see the guys in the neighborhood, they can't move too much places, so we find something to do, clean up the neighborhood. You know, we go around cleaning up different spots where we hang out, do chores for people who can't go too far, whatever. You know, we have to comply.
Nathaniel Ambrister also worked in the hotel industry, but he now finds himself turning to Great Commission Ministries for help. The husband and father wonders what his future holds as his savings are nearly depleted.
Yes, sir. I'm concerned. Well, I was concerned about, I'll say, from June. So I can't focus no more on the big bundle, what I used to do. So what I do, I only get maybe 1 or 2 items that I know I really definitely need. And the other stuff, I try to cope and deal with that the best way I could. And then whenever things pick up, when I get in the job or go back to the hotel or I'm able to get help from someone, then I would, do better and try to improve myself.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Berthany McDermott.
Lockdowns are becoming increasingly difficult for small business owners, like owner of the Bush Cook, Corey Small, who is questioning what the future will hold when they're repeatedly forced to close.
We've been through so much. Coming out of Dorian, trying to bounce back from a recession. Now it's the hurricane, then it was just hurricane last week, now it's now another lockdown. And the reality is it's going to continue happening. I just feel as if that for small business owners, we have to come together, create some kind of organization, some kind of cushioning, because there is no help for small business.
Small said at the end of the day, he isn't worried about himself, but he's worried about his employees who are left without answers after each forced closure by the competent authority.
The concern just is the frustration of it. What is going to happen? What is it going to be? Because at the end of the day, they set up bills. They're still saying that the landlord is calling them, the banks are calling them, they set up bills to pay, they go into the food store constantly, they have kids to take care of. So I just want to know, what is the end result after all of this?
With confirmed COVID-19 cases still skyrocketing on Grand Bahama, drive-through testing is continuing at the Lucayan Medical Center in Freeport. Financial controller at Lucayan Medical Center, Kaijana Pinder, explains how it's working out.
Testing continues in groups of 5 or more here at the medical center, with companies sending their employees as well as persons coming in to do testing continuously on their own.
Pinder says the tests get sent to New Providence and are analyzed by Doctors Hospital before results are sent back to them. Grand Bahama is the epicenter of the COVID-19 pandemic in the country and was placed on lockdown 2 weeks ago.
Testing should be done for persons who are showing maybe some symptoms. Testing should be done if you have been in contact with someone who has tested positive. And we've seen a number of persons coming in to do the testing once they know that someone they've been in contact has been tested positive.
For a first look at weather, meteorologist Greg Thompson joins me in studio. Good night, Greg.
I'm meteorologist Greg Thompson with a first look at weather. Taking a look at current conditions outside our studios, temperatures are in the mid-80s, 84 degrees outside under partly cloudy skies. Winds are out of the southeast, 5 knots, feels like temperature around 90 degrees. Taking a look at a satellite picture, cloudy conditions around the Andros area, some isolated showers and thunderstorms occurring there, as well as the Long Island area, but those showers will be tapering off as the evening goes on. That's your first look at weather. Your extended forecast is still to come.
Still to come on Our News, a financial expert calls for a clear COVID plan. Plus, the lockdown brings challenges for a blind man. That's coming up when Our News returns.
Rev up on the next promotion? Okay. Nice.
Bye. You give up it.
Best 2 out of 3.
Sign up for Rev Trio and opt in to NBA League Pass absolutely free. Visit rev.bs or call 601-8992 for details. Rev, you and us, together.
A local financial expert is calling on the government to present a more comprehensive plan on how it intends to deal with the economic fallout of the COVID-19 pandemic. Julian Gray reports.
Financial expert Gowan Bowe said the spur-of-the-moment lockdowns is not what the country needs and called on the government to give an extensive plan on how it will deal with the COVID-19 pandemic.
What is our national plan for operating under COVID-19? So if we pause and say, we've been told by the competent authority himself and others, COVID is going to be with us for a while. We've been told we're going to have to learn to live with COVID-19. So does that mean we're going to have periodic lockdowns like this? Does it mean that we're going to have more restrictions in terms of how we operate? So people have a greater sense of, I'm going to say, of the plan of how we will operate and live.
Bowe said countries all over the world are facing the same conundrum, whether people will die by the virus or of economic starvation. As the coronavirus will be with us for a while, Bowe said there must be a plan that goes beyond the week-to-week numbers. As the Bahamas is heavily reliant on visitors, the financial experts said there must be a plan on how to keep the country from being labeled a hotspot.
Unfortunately, that is something you cannot sell a virtual vacation, right? So I cannot take a picture of Atlantis and be able to sell it for the average $400 room night that they would have. So we have to start thinking about, one, getting our health situation under control, because we cannot promote ourselves to the world if we are a hotspot. So whilst we have persons, and I only, I'm going to get in trouble for saying it, insane persons who are prepared to travel to hotspots, I think the mass population around the world will avoid hotspots.
With brick and mortar businesses under threat from frequent lockdowns, Bowe said Bahamians must look to a hybrid model of business that includes e-commerce.
There are a whole raft of developments that say that we can take advantage of our land and start feeding ourselves. We've had a number of enterprises over the years. In the early 90s, a major chicken farm out of Grand Bahama that supplied a large percentage of the chicken in the Bahamas. We've seen other businesses and similar ventures struggle, and so obviously there is a model that works, but you have to just understand how do we work together, have apprenticeships and mentors, etc., that help us get through it.
Reporting for our News, I'm Julian Gray.
A blind man says he isn't looking forward to being locked down for 2 weeks. The nearly 60-year-old man says life is already tough, and restrictions only make things tougher.
You can't lock down, open. It almost gets the Bahamian people to say, wondering, what is he doing?
59-year-old Samuel Strawn is blind. Life was already full of unique challenges for him, but government restrictions have made things even tougher.
I try to manage me, but it's difficult.
Being blind means Strawn can't hold down steady employment. He admits that he struggles to get by.
I can be honest with you, I hustle.
But business closures mean less money, and less money means less resources to help people like Strawn.
I put a little hamper on it because I can't get out there. I can't get inside in this place. I got stay almost outside.
Strawn doesn't have kids and has to rely on his wife for help with tasks that require vision. For example, he says NIB's new digital payment apps would be impossible for him to use without the aid of his spouse. He says the closure of buses has also been especially tough on him.
If they don't have a relative or somebody who have a car to carry them back and forth, they can't get nowhere. They can walk.
The emergency orders handed down by the competent authority are acknowledged by some as being necessary to avoid an overburdening of the health sector. On the other hand, critics argue that the measures are toughest on the poor and most vulnerable.
You gotta make a one conscious decision exactly what you're doing, so that people can know, well, hey, you're the leader, you got the right ideas, what you're doing. You see? And it's gotta be by not just one or two persons. Not just one or two persons giving you advice. They gotta be at least a couple of people who have a good cross-section in this country.
When our news comes back from the break, an evicted mother of two pleads for assistance. Stay tuned.
Ever for the next promotion? Okay. Nice.
Bye. You give up it.
Best two out of three.
Sign up for Rev Trio and opt in to NBA League Pass absolutely free. Visit rev.bs or call 601-8992 for details. Rev, you and us, together.
Welcome back. An evicted mother of two is struggling to get by during the COVID-19 pandemic. Antonique Smith said she's been out of work since the pandemic hit and is in need of help. Jillian Gray reports.
When I reached home yesterday, the door was off, the hinges, the bed was gone, the ceiling fan was gone, the TV, everything else, the toilet, everything was up.
Antonique Smith said with no notice her landlord stripped her apartment bare when she was not home. Smith, a beautician, said she's been behind on her rent but didn't expect to meet the door gone with 4 strips of tape across the apartment when she got home. Her fiancé is a bus driver and since the pandemic hit, they both have been strapped for cash as they were not able to make an income. The couple went to the police but were told there was nothing officers could do.
Told them to take a curtain and put it to the door because there's nothing they can do. And I was like, so seriously? He was like, yeah, because it's a civil matter, so there's nothing they can really do. And I was like, but y'all acting like we're to blame. You know, the government shut us down, we cannot work. So there's no funds coming in. So these are things, I know we have other people that are going through the same thing and it's really heartless. The landlords, them don't have a heart.
Smith and her 2 children have been living with a friend. Her fiancé is trying to find an alternative job until bus drivers are allowed to return to the road. She usually pays $300 a week for the 1-bedroom apartment but hasn't been able to pay since the shutdown in March.
And he didn't even give us a chance to the business to pick up, to start giving them something. You understand what I'm saying? He did it when nobody was home.
Smith said she applied to NIB back in March but has not received any payments yet.
We tried social services, they haven't come through us yet. I did the NIB, they still have me waiting from the first time. Now we reapplied over again and I'm still waiting. So I still haven't gotten anything as yet.
Reporting for our news, I'm Jillian Gray.
Arbitrator and mediator Carol Lashley says she has seen an increase in relationship issues during the pandemic, particularly during lockdowns. As the nation now heads into a 2-week lockdown, she had a number of tips like practicing the pause and thinking before you speak.
Just practice the pause. It is so easy to, as we say, fly off the handle. It's so easy to get angry and continue to dialogue in anger. But if you practice the pause, you prevent yourself from saying something that you might just regret. For my relationship to be better, I have to make it better. So I can't expect to make somebody else change.
Lashley says people have been using COVID as an excuse for their lack of control. When it comes to teenagers, she's advising parents to listen.
We have to listen. And we have to also take responsibility. We have to say, you know, I'm in a bad way too. And I know I have some obligations, maybe I'm not meeting them. And we have to be able to apologize. We can't be, because we're the parent, we can't apologize. We have to apologize too when we know we did the wrong thing or said the wrong thing.
Still to come, Bahamian ball players hit the hardwood. And later, the extended weather forecast with meteorologist Greg Thompson. Stay with us.
Rev up in the next promotion? Okay. Nice.
Bye. You give up it.
Best two out of three.
Sign up for Rev Trio and opt in to NBA League Pass absolutely free. Visit rev.bs or call 601-8992 for details. Rev, you and us, together.
Both Bahamian NBA players on the floor last night trying to secure important wins as the regular season winds down. Marcellus Hall has more.
Well, time is starting to run out for both DeAndre Ayton and Buddy Hield, their respective teams trying to make their way into the final 8 or 9 spots in the Western Conference in order to make it to the playoffs. Only 8 games in the restart. They're within 3.5 games, which means every game becomes premium. Both players in action last night. Both Buddy Hield and DeAndre Ayton in action Tuesday night at the Bubble in Orlando. Heal and the Kings, they faced off against the Dallas Mavericks. This one had to go to overtime to determine a winner, but at the end of the day, it would be the Mavs emerging victorious, 114-110. Heal, coming off the bench, would log 31 minutes on the floor. He finished with 21 points on 8 of 20 shooting. Kings still struggling since the restart. Meanwhile, DeAndre Ayton and the Phoenix Suns, they squared off against the LA Clippers. Devin Booker would nail a turnaround jumper. As the clock ran out, that secured the win, 117-115, your final score. Ayton, solid performance, chipped in with 19 points, 7 rebounds, and 4 assists. Suns now unbeaten since the restart. They play again on Thursday when they face off against the Indiana Pacers. So while it seems DeAndre and the Suns are on the right track, Sacramento Kings and Buddy Hield still have a lot of work to do and a little time to do it. Reporting for our news, I'm Marcellus Hall.
That'll do it for this portion of the news. We throw it back to meteorologist Greg Thompson for the extended weather forecast.
I'm meteorologist Greg Thompson, and our second look at weather, take a look at satellite pictures around the islands. Pretty quiet, some isolated showers across the Long Island area, some of those showers across the Andros area as we speak, but those will be dying as the evening goes on. Boating forecast for tonight through tomorrow for the northwest and central Bahamas. Southeast winds 10 to 15 knots, seas running 2 to 4 feet. Your high tide will be at 10:07 tonight for the southeast Bahamas. East to southeast flow 15 knots, seas running 3 to 5 feet over the ocean. Here's now a look at your national forecast. And now we'll look at your extended forecast through Monday. That's a look at your weather. Make it a great night, everyone.
Thank you for joining us for our news tonight. To catch our news on the go, download the RevGo Play app. On behalf of the entire news team, I'm Jared Higgs. Have a beautiful evening, Bahamas.